Hmm. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 9, the pastimes of Lord Ramchandra, and chapter number 10. Hmm. All right. Text number 11. Sukadeva Goswami describes the pastimes of Lord Ramchandra, not elaborately, and very short. All right. He's telling Sukadeva Goswami is telling to Parikshit, Parikshit, you have heard Lord Ramchandra's pastimes many times. You have heard many times, right? But I'm not going to tell you all those things. I'm going to tell you the most essential aspects of Lord Ramchandra's divinity. That because he took birth in a human form, not human-like form like Krishna, but Lord Ramchandra took birth in a human form. Krishna says, Avajananti mamamudha manushim tanumasritam param bhavam ajananta mama bhutameshna. If Krishna takes birth in a human-like form, then it is very bewildering to common people who are in bodily conception of life. But here, while taking the birth of Lord Ram, even though the transcendental potencies were invested in him, yet he is an avatar. Okay, he plays as an avatar. Avatars are having investment of the potency of the avatari partially, not fully. Ramadi Murti Shukalani Abhinatistan, Nana Avataram Akarod Bhuvaneshu Kintu, Krishna Swami Samadvat Paramapuman. Now, an avatar and becoming a Paramapuman, these are two different things. So here, something more interesting about the pastimes of Lord Ramchandra is described. Raksho adhamena vrukavad vipanes asakmaksham vaidehe raja dohitari kirya papaitayam ratravane kripanavat priyaya viyuktaha stri sanginam gatimiti prathayam sanchara. Raksho adhamena, by the most wicked amongst the Rakshas Ram. Vrukavat, like a tiger, Vipine in the forest, Asamaksham, unprotected, Vaideha Raja Dhritri. By this conclusion of Mother Sita, the daughter of the king of Videha, Apaya Pitayam, having been kidnapped, Bhratara with his brother, Vane in the forest, Kripanavat, as if very distressed person, Priya by his dear wife. Viyukta separated. Stri Sanginam of persons attached to or connected with women. Gatim destination iti. Thus, Prathayan giving an example, Chachara wandered. Translation. When Ramchandra entered the forest and Lakshmana was also absent, the worst of the Rakshasas, Ravana, kidnapped Sita, the daughter of King of Videha, just as a tiger sees his unprotected sheep when the shepherd is absent. Then Lord Ramchandra wandered in the forest with his brother Lakshmana as if very distressed due to separation from his wife. Thus he showed by his personal example the condition of the person attached to women. Krishna was not subjugated, even though his pastimes were with the themselves of Vrindavan, but there was no disturbance. You know, whenever calamities came, the demons came, even they disturbed Rasa Leela of Balaram, like Vivida and others. Okay, there was no disturbance. There was no disturbance, but Balaram could not tolerate the insult inflicted by Vivida. So he smashed Vivida. But here, Ramchandra is showing some kind of extraordinary behavior, which is very common. So the transcendental activity and the transcendence in the activity is similar to the humankind. This is more difficult to understand. Ramchandra's activity, you know. Let's read the purport. In this verse, the words Trisanginam Gatimiti indicate that the condition of a person attached to women was shown by the Lord himself. According to moral instruction, Grihestri Narinam Vivarjayat. When one goes on a tour, one should not bring his wife. Formerly, men used to travel without conveyances, but still, as far as possible, when one leaves his home, one should not take his wife with him, especially if one is in such a condition as Lord Ramchandra. When banished by the order of his father, whether in this forest or at home, if one is attached to women, this attachment is always troublesome, as shown by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by his personal example. Of course, in this material side of Sri Sangi, but the institution of the Lord Ramchandra is spiritual, for he does not belong to the material world. Narayana Paravyat, Narayan is beyond the material creation. Because he is the creator of the material world, he is not subjected to conditions of material world. The separation of Lord Ramchandra from Sita is spiritually understood as Vipralamba, which is an activity of Ladinish potency, and the Supreme Personality of Godhead belongs to the Shangara Rasa, the mellow of conjugal love in the spiritual world. In the spiritual world, the Supreme Personality of Godhead has all the dealings of love displayed, the symptoms called Sattvika, Sanchari, Vipra, Vilapa, Murcha, and Unmada. Thus, when Lord Ramchandra was separated from Sita, all these spiritual symptoms were manifested. The Lord is neither impersonal nor important. Rather, he is Satchidananda Vigraha, the eternal form of knowledge and bliss. Because he has all the symptoms of spiritual bliss. Feeling separation from one's beloved is also an item of spiritual bliss. And apparently, we see him crying or lamenting for the loss of his wife. As explained by Swarup Damodar Goswami, Radha Krishna Pranay Vikritir Ladini Shakti. The dealings of love between Radha and Krishna are displayed as the pleasure potency of the Lord. The Lord is original source of all pleasure, the reservoir of all pleasure. Lord Ramchandra therefore manifested the truth both spiritually and materially. Materially, those who are attached to women suffer, but spiritually, when there are feelings of separation between the Lord and his pleasure potency, the spiritual bliss of the Lord increases. This is further explained in Bhagavad Gita, 9th chapter, 11th verse. Avajananti mamamudha manushim tanumasitam param bhavam ajananta mama bhutam maheshwaram. One who does not know the spiritual potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead thinks of the Lord as an ordinary human being. But the Lord's mind, intelligence, and the senses are never be affected by the material condition. This fact is further explained in Skanda Puran as quoted by Madhvacharya. Nitya Purna Sukha Jnana Swarupa Asavyukta Vibhu Atosya Rama Iti Akhya Tasya Dukkham Kuto Anu Aswapi Tathapi Loka Sikshartham Adukho Dukkha Vartivat Antarhitam Lokas Droshtya Sitam Asit Smaranam Eva. Vyapinartham Punarnitya Sambandha Swatmanah Sriyaha Ayodhya Vinirgachan Sarvalokasya Cheshwaram Pratyaksham Antastriya Sardham Jagamanardirabhyaya Nakshatra Nasha Nakshatra Mas Ganitam Trayodasha Shastrakam Brahmaloka Dasham Chakri Samastam Kshiti Mandalam Ramo Rama Iti Sarvesham Abhavat Tada Sarvo Ramakyo Loko Sada Ramastva Aplaya. Married to Lord Ramchandra, she was protected by her father and the child Vaidehara, and then she was married and she was protected by her husband. Therefore, the conclusion is that a woman should always be protected according to the Vedic ritual. There are no scope for women's being independent or asamaksham. For women cannot be cannot protect herself independently. That's why it's really good way. So the purport, Prabhupada quotes Swarup Damodar Goswami. Swarup Damodar Goswami says, these are the enactment of Ladini Shakti, which are pleasure-giving Shakti, and the display of Viraha. Display of Viraha. As if he's an handpicked husband, Ramchandra was crying for Sita because he was unable to find Sita. While the character of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is that he is all knowing, present, past, and future. So it's not difficult that he doesn't know where Sita is. But to play the pastimes, he chose not to disclose. Naham prakasa sarvasya yoga maya samava. Krishna is not exposed to anybody and everybody because he keeps himself in the curtain of yoga maya. So you cannot see. But he who chooses, only he can see. Vedavyasapriya, if you demand that I want to go and see him, no. Suppose if he is not of choice, you are not of his choice, then you can't tell him. So we have to be very careful. How are we thinking about? In spiritual life, we always have to remain meek and humble. Not that we know or we have some skills or a formula to unveil for any activity which seemingly very material, but you have the formula, so you can convert it to spiritual. No, it's not like that. So the process is that every activity of the Madhurya Leela, whether it is of Sambhog or Viyog, attachment or detachment, it is all enactment under the jurisdiction of Hladini Shakti. Hladini Shakti is the energy of pleasure. So where is the question of displeasure? So it's very, very tricky, difficult to understand when an explanation is. But Swarup Damodar, our predecessor Acharya, he had dared to explain this. For our sake, we have to remain meek and humble, but the affirmity of this particular verse we have to speak boldly because it has some truth embedded. Even though we may not have realized it, we still need to spell out verbatim. Verbatim. Why? Because it constrains the truth. If it is not understandable, if we serve the truth with faith and glory for the Supreme, it will be revealed on its own account. So, Swarup Damodar is telling that these are the enactments of Hladini Shakti. So there is no question of bewilderment of Lord Ramchandra in handling this issue, which is very powerful. But Sita is also very powerful. There's a spiritual identity of Sita is 100%, Hladini Shakti. No difference between Radharani and Sita. Only thing is that Radharani is duly married, only single partner of Lord Ramchandra. So, why it should be very special? It is very special in understanding that she was cooperating Lord Ramchandra to fulfill the desire of his appearance and activities in Dwapara Yoga, to uphold the truth by giving the word of mouth and very, what you call, become fidelity. Very, very faithful to the law of Treta Yoga. To uphold the truth, not only to follow the truth, but uphold means to glorify. identify the truth. In Kali Yuga, the truth is there, the fourth leg, but it is hurt. 3 legs are already been cut off for the Dharma. Only the fourth leg is truth, and it is still holding, even though injured. So when such enactment of bewilderment comes, for us common people, it is difficult to understand why Sukadeva Goswami is as if taunting Lord Ramchandra. He's like a handpicked husband. But it is glorification. Why? Because even though Lord Ramchandra, what to speak of Mother Sita, she is his Ladini Shakti. If she so desired, if she became little angry and her brukuti becomes a very strong bow which is already stretched to kill the enemy. Sita could have put Ravana into ashes immediately. How powerful she is. She is Ladini Shakti. And one cannot interfere in the enactment of Ladini Shakti, that is this Leela. So, but Sita chose to support her husband. Her husband is a resolve and the wife has a duty. If she does not perform the duty, then she will be remaining unprotected. So, husband means protector, but protector of both dharma and devotees, both simultaneously. So, when Swarupa Mother describes this enactment as the display of Ladini Shakti, one should not become bewildered. Oh, Ramchandra is acting like a handpicked husband, crying so much after a wife. But they are not only considering the act as ordinary act, and the actors are also ordinary, which is far away from the truth. So, if anything is acted through the influence of his internal potency directly, that's not ordinary. And one must be very careful to understand that Ramchandra is not acting like a handpicked husband. He was acting as if he was an ordinary person who is very attached to his wife. So, elsewhere also, such leelas are saying that these are the act of Ladini Shakti, which is pleasure giving potency. So, even though the incident is depicting that it is without inspiration or it is discouraging, no. There is no distinction of likes and dislikes in spiritual world, in the transcendental activity. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur will call it, these are the enactments of his Ladini potency. And it cannot be interpreted as pleasurable experience or painful experience. devotees are refrained from making any other conclusion. They are, totally refrained. They cannot trade in the realm of spirituality where the angels fear to trade. They have to be very strict about that. So anyway, Lord Ramchandra's pastimes are transcendental because they are not ordinary activities. And this is the distinction, that ordinary activities have a definite reaction of happiness or distress. And both of them are captivating and becoming attached to it. But here, through the eyes of detachment, if one analyzes, he will find that there is no difference. These are not discouraging activities. So therefore, we have to understand that in transcendental situation, the enactment of this particular pastimes are very, very important to understand, because they bear the principles of devotional service. All right? It is not a controversial action. It is not controversial action. But these are the activities of Ladini potency. And you do not know what Ladini potency is. Right? So,
below the white.
Under the white.
Oh.
Camouflage.
But why would he refer to as henpecked?
Handpack husband. And
He's going to seek her out when she's lost. But why should Sukadev describe as henpecked?
yeah, you think it's an insult? It is the symptom of an ordinary man. An ordinary man, when he reads, he'll be bewildered. That if ordinary person attached to their women, they cry, they feel lost. Ramchandra is also doing like that. What's the difference between ordinary man and the enactment of Ramchandra? Both are same. So they will not understand anything. They will always describe on the material platform the activities of Lord Ramchandra. But spiritual understanding comes from spiritual discipline. And they see differently, which is very reasonable, because it involves the cardinal truth, the principles. Right. Asamaksham means she has no capacity. A woman does not have any capacity to protect herself. So there is no scope for a woman's being independent. Here the word independent is called asamaksha. For a woman cannot protect herself independently. Right? Do you acknowledge this fact?
Physically, materially, physically and materially, they can't protect themselves.
Even spiritually, they need husband. The husband becomes the guru and guides.
Even if the husband is an idiot.
Even a husband is not protected in that case. He doesn't have guru. Right? So
He said, husband, idiot also can protect. Is it true, Guru Maharaj?
husband has to protect.
No,
Husband
he
has to.
said, idiot also can protect wife, he's saying.
No.
How do you know?
It's trying to say that even if the husband is an idiot, the woman is still independent.
Uninitiated or initiated, what is that has to do with the function of protection is there, whether one is initiated or not initiated.
I mean, a foolish husband, Gurudev.
But foolish husband is not going to be initiated. Who will initiate? Even though by mistaken, if he is initiated, it is not going to be effective.
Because there are a lot of intelligent women in this world. I mean, Kali Yuga now.
No, they were intelligent before also. Gargi was there. But the Janva, they were highly intelligent. They were respected as good as gurus for even foolish men. And they were respected. Now the point is ordinary, attached people, both husband and wife, still husband is supposed to be protected. All right. So the word husband means protect.
He doesn't, he's not the protective type.
Go to the court.
Court, Gurudev?
Hmm?
Court?
But the court is
Maharaj,
Well, she can choose.
but court is blind.
blind, yeah, court is.
He blindly judges.
In Kerala,
Divorce.
what Mataji,
There's no word for divorce.
no, really, she is my sheltered disciple, has a couple of children and her mother. They are all staying together. And husband was a drunkard. They kicked him out.
Talking about protection of women.
Yes, husband should be both giving spiritual and material protection.
I was thinking about that. That's your question.
Can you just elaborate on the material protection
And spiritual
and the
protection.
spiritual protection? Just so that is having a proper understanding.
All right. Yeah. Material protection, you can understand.
Is
Physical protection, that is called. But spiritual protection means you can't think independently without via media. Husband becomes a representative of the guru. So he can act as Siksha Guru, but no Siksha. But the point is that both of you have to invest the spiritual teachings in the life to get spiritual protection. All right.
Their question comes from wife being Guru Maharaj's disciple and the Krishna Parampara, so they know everything. But the
Don't
husband
take
probably
for
is a Christian or a
granted
Muslim.
Everybody knows everything. No. Everybody has to know the essential, which is everything.
Essential.
You may not know the detail, but who cares? If you have the cardinal truth and preserve it, you help her to preserve that. That is more important.
More that they do have the knowledge, but the husband kind of moderates saying, no, we don't go in that way. We don't do that. The wrong thing, I mean, the wrong. We don't do that wrong.
She may also give a good advice,
Yeah.
but it doesn't mean that she becomes your guru. No. The, the guru is a spiritual position. The position is not material, but it is essential to oversee the activities. Suppose if they are entire means opposite, which are not conducive, then husband has to interfere to protect her from becoming easy victim of the fall right there. But materially also, that we have to say the position of a woman in the material world is also very vulnerable. Being called abala. Abala. Krishna was the husband of all the gopis. And yet, gopi says we are abala. A protected person does not become protector. That is the position. One cannot play the role of the other. A protected cannot play the role of protector. Rather, its safety, security, and fidelity is measured only on the basis of, her protection.
Being independent.
No, she can't be independent.
No, dependent. Non-independent.
It means really protective, sorry to say that, but
So she can't ask it publicly, yeah. I don't know whether I should take a bone hair like Ram and stand there. You're telling about some other men who are not.
Yes. No, not
Right.
really, yeah. Now that the thing is that there are so many cases. They become loggerheads. Then from the natural set examples and the rules and regulations, they are violated. It's not of expression of freedom. Neither they are considered to be slaves. To remain as protected doesn't mean that a person is slavery. No. You need to be protected so you can express your sentient feelings with the Supreme without anybody's interference. Right? Because your protection is in relationship with the Supreme that has already been established, okay, by the Guru, the same Guru. But Guru gives a little task to oversee. An overseer doesn't mean he is the dictator to take away your liberty to think and connect. Even a guru does not do. Why a representative of Guru will do? Guru doesn't come in interference with the relationship of, rather, the protection is needed to establish very, very firmly this relationship. One who enters into any relationship does not have any experience before. So similarly, it is the case in Krishna consciousness that we do not know what is the relationship. Right? So to protect means to protect the guidelines so we do not go astray out of the bound of the jurisdiction of the principles. So, it is very important that being a woman is being a very soft, indiscriminately discriminating faculty. Discriminating means intelligence. Even though material intelligence is sharp, for spiritual intelligence and remain within the guidelines will be very important. So you get an additional help. They don't get additional help. Purush or the husband do not get additional help. You get. So who is more beneficial? Enjoy that. Even if you request something of your own desire, and he will say, oh, okay, I will have to take a little more precaution or more cautions. I will have to invest more safety guards. It doesn't come out from your pocket, it will come out from his pocket. So becoming a husband is not inexpensive. It is very expensive. So you are getting, by your nature, you are very soft. You can be befooled. Ha, 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 ha. You become befooled very easily. Saying your son in distress, you will become more distressful than him. Then he has to protect both of you. Now why are you objecting?
Because other men also have to. Yes.
Ladies protect themselves.
Nowadays, ladies protect themselves. Nowadays.
अरे बूढ़े सब समय तो चला गया आपको क्या?
नहीं, but young one they protect themselves. They don't want the mother.
Yes. You depend upon the holy name for your protection.
Yeah.
Go back home, back to
Yeah.
God. Then Krishna will protect us.
Krishna.
Huh?
Krishna. Yeah.
Yeah, but then you can't become Mirabai artificially. You can't assume that position. No. And she was also corrected by Jiva Goswami. Why are you exhibiting your the secret of the highest ecstasy to
Other people.
neophytes?
Yeah.
Jai. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Prabhupada. Mirabai was instructed by Jiva Goswami and corrected this artificial exhibition of Vira in front of those who are not. So it's only a reaction of sentiments. The value of exhibition of the symptoms of real Virat cannot be understood by ordinary people. Those who are not into the purity of rasa. So Mirabai understood, Abato Hari Nama Laulagi. Now I got my lesson. So now I am headed to chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Ram.
Our teachings are that chant Hare Krishna and then develop gradually all the ecstatic symptoms of a relationship. Mirabai was going other way around in Kali Yuga. Why? It's not complicated. She was very independent. She didn't ask for her husband's protection even. Right?
think so she asked Krishna is her husband.
Eh?
She was thinking Krishna is his husband, so Krishna would protect me.
No, it is bad.
Giridhara.
Except it is not what you call submission in the slavery. No. What Krishna has designed, so we may progress spiritually, where there are not such stifling of a relationship.
Today's Kali Yuga, or right now, this part of the Kali Yuga, there's so much of rocks on the relationships, and people think, okay, they leave, and now more women think of leaving the men than men thinking of leaving women. Men left in the past looking at another woman's beauty or whatever she had, youth.
Now that norm is also changing. How much money she is getting.
And so marriage, was there ever a thing called divorce in spiritual word?
Kali Yuga will make everything topsy-turvy. What is topsy-turvy? It will flip around. Why are you so silent?
You understand?
Eh?
What if implement on me and what?
Aren't you afraid?
You
Aren't you afraid?
know,
Afraid.
afraid. No, not afraid.
Oh, good.
No.
Otherwise, you will rethink of your marriage.
Afraid of going home.
and Mataji will blame me that I brainwashed him. No, don't. Eh?
She had got to find her such strong husband, so righteous. Finally, nobody could protect her, only Krishna could.
Ah,
In Draupadi's case, those days itself, that is a very good lesson for all of us.
yeah.
Finally protect.
Why are the Pandavas always stronger than your husbands?
Exactly.
Internet, some nonsense is coming up. Draupadi wanted to kill all the Pandavas.
Oh God.
Really?
I don't know where are they getting the ideology from. Don't go on internet, it's like PUBG. You know, they make stories.
Yes.
If this could have been the reason,
What
she wanted to take revenge upon her husbands. She was forcefully married to 5
concoctions?
by the desire of Kunti. No, I mean, the devil's workshop
Yeah.
is behind all these things.
Yeah, internet is full of untruths. Can't take anything from the internet.
The conclusion is for protection of the spiritual principle. And Sita was ready, even though she is the supreme goddess, she knew what her role would be, and she never objected.
Just enacted it.
Huh?
She enacted her role.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She never objected. She was ready. My dear, and Lord, you want to desire this way? Let it be.
Could have easily escaped from Ravan.
Oh,
Sita Devi.
Sita Devi, Ravan could not kidnap her. Ravan could not. It was Maya Sita. And this explanation is also spiritual. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu got from South India. You know.
The original Sita didn't go.
Yeah. And they gave a good explanation in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, accepted that explanation. That these are the enactment of Maya Sita to bewilder Ravan. You know? Yeah. Otherwise, how come Ravan be killed?
Guru Maharaj, if the husband is not following Krishna consciousness, then is that only material protection and not spiritual protection?
But if it doesn't interfere in your spiritual life, then also it is, a sort of liberty to perform. He may support you, but he is not deporting you. Then
You know, some husbands are a bit shy of coming out and professing their spirituality or religiosity, that they try to remain behind a screen, but they
They
go to
need
temple quietly by
they
themselves.
themselves need a husband. You know,
That's my case, I guess, Guru Maharaj.
Someone needs to talk to them. Yeah. Someone needs to help them and bring them out of the curtain,
That's why the council.
make them less shy about showing their foolishness in front of a guru.
Yes.
It's nothing wrong to be foolish in front of a guru. You should be, so that you can learn more from him.
Exactly.
oh Krishna.
Can you add to this?
Yes, Gurudev needs rest.
I know you're going to call me.
Guru Maharaj, who's Sita went to Valmiki ashram?
Huh?
Real Sita?